Hello, dance world. If you are a social media dance stalker like myself and you enjoy seeing dance photography on your favorite social platform, today is a great episode for you. I have an amazing photographer in the podcast room today, and some of you will recognize her. She is sharing some of her journey to becoming what I would say is a sought-after dance photographer, since a lot of my dancers have had the pleasure to create with her, and how busy her schedule is. But most of all, she is here to share some of her helpful tips to capture the perfect photo with either a professional photographer or on your own. So I am sitting here with photographer Eva Nys of Eva Nys' Photography in Arizona. And I'm so happy to have her here because I get questions from you guys all the time asking about how to pose for your audition photos, for photos that you want to use just for yourself. And I'm not the best one to ask, so I brought on an expert. Say hi, Eva.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm officially in the podcast realm. This is amazing.
Yes, you are. You definitely are, and this will probably be the beginning of big things for your podcasting.
Oh, I hope so. I love podcasts.
Yeah, we were saying right as you came in that you love to listen to podcasts.
Oh my God. Literally, I'm in the car so much, so every time I'm in the car, I'm listening to a podcast.
Yeah. It's great. You get so much information. There's so many different areas you can be listening to and learning. And one of my favorites right now is what's it called? Beautiful Anonymous.
Ooh,
have you ever heard that one?
No.
I like it. People call in anonymously and share a story with this comedian who drags all this information out of them. You never know who they are.
Wait,
and
that's
it just
awesome.
ends at an hour. So that's like my guilty pleasure. I love that one if you guys want to listen.
I'm definitely going to start listening.
Yes.
That sounds so good.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So there you go, everyone. You have a little other podcast to listen to.
Hashtag ad.
Yeah. So we're going to dive right in. I have so many questions for you because when I was young and dancing, we were lucky to have 3 photos of ourselves, quote, professionally done. I had a headshot, I had an arabesque photo, and I have one other photo that I just happen to have.
Yeah.
Kids ask me all the time about photos from when I was dancing, and I say, it wasn't the same. I didn't have it then. We did not have social media where we were sharing things. We didn't have cell phones that we could just click in the studio.
Yeah.
And there definitely were not dance photographers.
No, it is such a new industry. I mean, there was photographers who would take dance pictures, but there wasn't this option of, who am I going to shoot with? Because you didn't have options like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, there are a ton of options now. But I have to say, you're one of my favorites.
Thank you.
And I was so excited when you agreed to come on the podcast because it really was a little bit of a shot in the dark, everyone. I was like, I hope she says yes, but I'm not sure she will. And so I was really excited. So tell us a little bit before we jump into stuff. Tell us how you got into dance photography, because that's not a realm that we normally jump into easily. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of a long story, but it basically begins with, when I was younger, I always had a camera in my hand. Of course, when I was 7 and 8 on school field trips, it was a disposable camera. But as I got older, I always wanted just one of those nice point and shoots. And so I remember I would borrow my mom's in 6th grade, and then I ended up getting one of my own in 7th grade. And as YouTube started to become a thing, I got obsessed with the idea of making videos.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have an interesting life, so it was nothing I could really vlog. So, it always kind of went back and forth between making skits and, taking pictures, etc. And so, then, throughout my childhood, I did dance a little bit here and there at neighborhood studios. Nothing serious. It was kind of I tried every sport. But when I got into high school, I kind of got into dance again a little bit here and there. And so my love for dance started to grow, along with the fact that I was taking a TV production class at the time. So the love for videography started to come back, but then that class kind of went kaput my sophomore year when I had to take Spanish. So then I had this new camera that I had bought for that class and no desire really to take video anymore at that point. So I had a lot of friends who were dancers because I was dancing, and it just kind of came about. Ballerina Project was really exploding on Instagram, and so my friend was like, can you take some ballet pictures of me? And I was like, I guess, like, I don't know what they're going to look like, but sure, let's try it. And so we go out to literally what we call the dump park, because it's a park built on top of a dump by our house. Yeah, like, my first photo shoot ever was at the dump park. And we just took some pictures in these cool, like, cylinder cement things. They weren't terrible. They're still on my Instagram if you scroll all the way down.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have these photos on your Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Like, almost every shoot I've ever done, like, time-lapse wise, not like every single one, but over time is on there. So like my first dance photo shoot, the second dance photo shoot, like the first one I did in LA is on there. Like I've never deleted anything. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's awesome. You kind of have a little chronicle of what's happened and evolved as you an artist. And
yeah, and that first shoot didn't go terrible, so I just kind of kept going with it, and now here we are.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. So do you do other things besides dance, or are you pretty centered in dance at this point?
Honestly, it kind of just depends what I'm feeling that day. Like, I love the idea of being an ocean photographer. I don't live by an ocean, so, you know, I like went on a cruise recently and had so much fun with that and could totally see myself doing that. But then I do like a lot of editorial stuff when I'm in Arizona. So I would say mostly like what I get booked for is ballet and like contemporary convention dance at this point. But my passions with photography stretch way far beyond dance. It's just not what's like paying the bills, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, as an artist, I think we have to decide where we know where our passions are.
Yeah.
And we have to find the thing that the passion and the business match.
100%. And like, I got so lucky because I love dance photography.
Yeah.
Like, I rarely don't want to go to a photo shoot. Like, I love shooting. I love the build up to it, and I love editing the photos. So,
oh, that's good.
yeah. Like,
most people don't like editing the photos.
Everyone's always like, why don't you hire an editor so you can shoot more? And I'm like, no, I love editing. That's where the like artisticness for me really kicks in.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were saying like your first shoot was in those concrete cylinders. And as I look at your Instagram and watch them come up on my feed, you do a lot of location shoots, it looks like.
Yeah.
I see a lot of stuff that looks like maybe in a studio, but it's very unique. Like nothing is like on just a blank piece of paper or background. Everything's very unique. How do you choose where you're going to do them? How do you decide which dancer is going to be right? Do you know that? Or is it like luck when they show up and you're like, oh, you look good here?
I mean, yeah, sometimes it is a shot in the dark. Just because like I've never met them in my life and I communicate mostly on email. So, but I mean, a lot of times, like just because of Instagram, I'll see the dancers or what they look like beforehand. But in terms of like choosing locations, honestly, a lot of the times I wing it. Like, I'll just be like, ooh, this place looks cool on Google Earth. Let's risk it.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, a lot of times clients are down for it. Like, they'll be like, sure, like, if it sucks, we just go somewhere else sort of thing. But I can count on one hand how many times it's sucked, and we've had to go somewhere else. So I get pretty lucky.
No, I think that's a skill. I think that's something you've probably perfected, too. When you're working with the dancer, do you ever look at like the location and the costume and you're like, oh, this might be better for another dancer, I'm going to bring someone back? Or do you always find new places? Do you have your regular spots? Are you always adventurous with your locations?
That's a good question. Because, okay, so for the first part, if I ever think about like, would I bring, or like I have an idea for someone else here? Yes. But the thing is like, I never want a kid to feel like I'm trying to mimic their photos that I've done for them with someone else.
Right.
So I try to be careful with that to make them different enough. Like, if I've shot someone here, I'll either do it a different time of day or make sure that they're wearing something completely different. But there are, like, 4 spots in Arizona that I hit repeatedly because I always know the outcome is going to be so good. So, yeah, I just do my best to make sure nothing looks too identical, because that's like one of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. I mean, honestly, in any line of work, you find something that works and you repeat it. That happens with choreography. It happens with costuming. So I see it with a lot of photographers too, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But you do have a very wide portfolio
Thank
on your
you.
Instagram. And I am always like, gosh, there's so many new places she's finding. It's awesome.
I do my best. It's hard though, because like, I mean, it's scary, like showing up to a place that you've never been before and just like hoping that the lighting's going to be right, hoping the colors are going to edit well in post, like hoping that the dancer can fit into the scenario without it like looking weird or the framing being off. It's, yeah. Again, I swear I get lucky.
That's great.
I
That's
do
fantastic.
Google a lot, but I think I get lucky.
What about your indoor locations? I saw recently, or maybe in the last couple months, you did a shoot where there were like long lights, or it looked like streams of lights coming down.
Yeah.
Where do you find those places? And is that something that you've concocted in your mind before? Or do you show up and you're like, oh my gosh, they have this. This is amazing.
Okay, both.
Yeah.
So again, the whole luck thing, I know I'm saying it a lot, but like sometimes I'll show up and like I've told the dancer to bring a variety of things. Mm-hmm. Truly, that line, bring a variety of things, and they'll show up with the perfect outfit that just conveniently matches exactly where we are. But with the indoor locations, a lot of that is just like, I mean, I work so much at one specific studio here, and they've got like 4 different buildings. Mm-hmm. So that's, 12 different studio options to work from in there. And then there's like a bunch of rental websites you can go on to just hunt down studio spaces. So that's pretty much, I mean, it's just hours, like literally hours of sitting at a computer looking at pictures of places online.
That's what you have to do if you're traveling and you're always looking for something different. And I think that's one of the benefits that your dancers are getting when they book with you is you're coming fully creative and artistic just as much as they want to be coming to you that way. That's awesome. So you said that when your dancers come, you say bring a variety of things. Do you have any other instructions to them? Like what would you say to someone who's never done a shoot with a photographer like this? What kind of things should they be bringing to a shoot to make sure that they have what you're looking for?
Great question. So it definitely varies depending on the kid. When I say that line, like a variety of things, I usually shoot that to my repeat clients.
Right. I am sure that you're more specific to the first one.
New ones. Yeah. But usually I would say if I'm to give someone like the most basic list possible, bring a variety of leotards or 2 pieces, whatever you're most comfortable in, even unitards, different brands, different colors. Like you never want to bring just like one brand or one color or one style. You want to have such a variety because you just don't know what's going to fit where and what time of day it is based on the lighting, etc. So I think that would be the first thing, just like a variety of the dance where you feel most comfortable in. And then you want to bring basics such as like a strappy black leotard, a strappy white leotard, a strappy nude leotard. Those are so important because let's say I've got a cool like sheer dress in my car and I'm like, okay, do you have a nude leotard you can wear underneath this? If you don't, you've just missed out on the opportunity to shoot in this cool dress that I found. So it's good to always have the basics, just in case. Or maybe the white leotard will look great in the setting we're in just alone. Like you just never know. I would say if you're on point, bring your point shoes. If you're not on point, you can bring your ballet flats. I usually just shoot barefoot if a kid's not on point. But yeah, you could also bring, if you don't want to do completely barefoot or if we're in a location where you can't be barefoot, dance socks. Like thick dance socks because we can always make that a contemporary look. And then you won't have to worry about like if you're stepping on something it won't hurt as much or if the floor is hot, blah, blah, blah. Tights, definitely tights, like black tights if you want to bring fishnets, ballet tights that I could cut into. I love doing like different ripped looks with tights. So just again, things that are gonna make them different. Like if you want pictures that are just clean and classic, you don't have to worry about all the little extras. But a lot of kids, majority of kids I work with are like, I want something different. A lot of that comes down to what you bring and what we have to work with. Like, we can make the poses as different as possible, but if you're in a black leotard, it might not be quite what you had in your head. So,
right. And then for, like, makeup and hair, do you, on your very styled shoots, is that you making that happen, or what do you do? What do you do there?
Yeah, sometimes. So, a lot of times I'll tell someone to show up like a certain way, like come with concealer, powder, and mascara on, leave the rest to me or something like that. But yeah, I love doing hair and makeup. There are some shoots where I fully do the hair and makeup. It's usually with clients that I've worked with a little bit more, only because, again, I'm not a professional at that, so if I completely mess up, it's a little more of a comfortable situation. So yeah, usually I'll just give instruction on like what to do for hair and makeup. I usually like natural, like very little hair, very little, or not very little hair, but very little makeup,
right?
Very little going on with the hair,
right? So when you're looking at then the whole picture of them come together, they have their costume on or their leotard, their hair, their makeup done. Do you have an idea of a pose or poses that are going to work in the space? Or do you say move, improvise, or hold a pose? What do you like to do to get the best picture out of a dancer?
Yeah, I like all of it. It's really going to depend on the kid too, because a lot of kids aren't comfortable with that if it's their first shoot or something like that. In that scenario, I'll literally just start being like, do this, and like get the ball rolling. And then if they come up with stuff, then it's like, okay, why don't you just like improv a little bit, see where it takes you. But I've got some kids who like eat, sleep, and breathe improv, like that. They love it. They can do it at the snap of a finger. You know, they can do it without music, and I just let them go for it. I'm like, you've got such a vision on your own. Let's see what we can do together, sort of thing.
Yeah. But for the people who are maybe thinking like, oh, I don't know if I could do this because I don't improvise or I don't know what poses to do. This is totally the benefit of working with you is you know what to tell them to do.
I will literally pose you the whole time if you need me to. As long as you can tell me what you do, like if you are a leg, if you are a jump, if you are a back person, you know, how long you've been on point, what your strength is. If you can lay it out for me, I can pose you for 20 hours if you need me to. But yeah, as long as I get a gist of what you're good at, we're good to go.
Yeah, so I've gotten that question on Instagram a few times. And in anticipation of you coming, I'm asking, how do I know what pose to do, especially if the photographer doesn't know? At this point, I feel like we do have dance photographers in our life, but if you can tell the photographer whether they're dance or not, the things that you feel like you're good at, they're going to be able to better see what your potential is to get the best shot out of you, right?
It's funny, you'll probably know within 10 minutes of working with a dance photographer if they know anything about dance. Because if you danced growing up, you're going to know what to tell them to do. So definitely try and find a dance photographer who knows dance.
Yes. So my boyfriend is not a photographer, but is way better at the camera than I am. And we will trade off shooting promotional stuff, like quick photos, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And I know as soon as I started getting dancers that were moving and like fluid, he didn't know what to do. He was like, wait, what do I do with the shutter speed? And the
click.
Yeah. And, and I was like, this is dance. This is why dance photography is so hard.
It is hard.
And he went to his first show with me and was like, how do they take these photos? It's like, I know,
you have to anticipate it. That's what it is.
You have to know the vocabulary and the flow of ballet or contemporary or modern, whatever you're shooting. You really do. It's a whole subset of knowledge you have to have.
Yeah, especially when someone's actually dancing on stage and you're shooting
yeah.
You have to guess what they're going to do next. Like, you have to almost know that they're about to jump before they jump so you know when to click.
Yeah.
That's a whole other realm.
Yeah, totally. This year I was at YAGP here in Huntington, and I was sitting right next to the photographer for the competition, and I was just fascinated because I could hear the click of his camera, and I was like, oh my God, he got that. Yeah, I was like, he got that. And then it'd be really quiet, and he would get it. And I was like, oh my gosh,
well, he probably also
amazing.
has memorized those variations by now.
Yes. And I mean, and it might be like the 5th time he's seeing that variation that day. But
still talent, though.
Still major props to that guy. That was insane. So can you tell us a couple of your experiences that have been really successful? Whatever that means to you. Do you have anything in mind that you're like, this was really unexpectedly great because fill in the blank?
The first shoot that comes to mind is last October. I shot at the Shining Hotel, or it's like the Stanley Hotel, but it's from the movie The Shining.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we went in, it was me, Eliana, and her mom, Yolanda, and we went in, like, expecting to get good pictures, but what came out of it, like, I was so beyond proud of those pictures. Like, they're everything I could have wanted and more. The dress fit perfect. I mean, everything down to a T just matched up, and the lighting was good. The editing ended up being how I wanted it. But yeah, those are by far probably some of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. Yeah, and the hotel definitely ended up being haunted. We went on like a ghost tour. So it was just like, it was a super fun experience too. So it was like we got to experience the hotel, but then also photograph based on like one of the most amazing horror films in existence.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of my favorite experiences and like favorite photo outcome.
Well, as you're saying, like we had so much fun. The experience was so much fun. I know, speaking from personal experience, when I go into a shoot, whether it's dance or just a headshot or whatever it is, and I'm feeling loose and comfortable with my surroundings, but more importantly, I think with just the photographer. And most of the time, I don't know who the photographer is. You're meeting them for the first time when you walk up to them. But if I can come in with an open mind, feeling positive and open to coaching and open to their unseen vision in my eye, my photos turn out so much better.
Yeah.
If I'm just loose and enjoying this experience and honestly not worrying about looking silly.
Yeah.
Most recently, I did a photo for this podcast. And it was literally just against a wall of a grocery store in the middle of Newport. And
oh my gosh.
It was because it was like a yellow wall. And I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted. And people were walking right past us because we're right on the street. And I'm holding a pair of pointe shoes looking stupid as ever. Like, what is that girl holding pointe shoes for?
Oh, yeah.
But
I've gotten all the looks.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And that's not even a crazy experience. But it was me knowing, like, I'm just going to look silly. Like, I don't care what these people think. And then being comfortable with the photographer to say, like, okay, just do it. Just own it.
Yeah, I have a funny story that made me think of. So another dancer I work with a lot, her name's Amber. And we were in Paris last November. And, like, it was not warm. It was very cold. But the whole time I'm like, Amber, suck it up. We're in Paris. I need photos. Like, this is, like, a dream. Like, we have to take some photos over here. She's like, hey, it's cold. Like, I don't want to. And I'm like, no, you're sucking it up. Like, we're taking photos. So we had just eaten lunch and we were walking through like one of like a really, really, really old cemetery in Paris. And I don't know why. I just like, I always think everything's like America in terms of like mindset. So we're walking through the cemetery and I'm like, this would make a beautiful picture. We had this gorgeous little like red velvet shawl she had on over a black leotard. I'm like, okay, slip off your jeans, put on your pointe shoes, let's take some pictures. Well, we get like 10 minutes in and this security guard / police officer, I don't really know what you'd call him, comes up to us and starts screaming at us in French. Of course, neither of us speak French at all. Like, my French ends at bonjour. So, like,
croissant?
Or like, merci beaucoup. Like, that's all I got. So, we're both looking at each other like, and he's just like, he's like flagging down like his legs and he's like screaming at us. And I'm like, oh, Amber, put your pants on.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was like the whole thing is like he was so offended that she didn't have like jeans on in this cemetery. And like I get it now, but in the moment my photographer took over and I'm like, this is such a good photo op.
We'll do anything for the shot.
Oh my god, anything for the shot except for like disrespect people, which I did in that moment.
Yeah. Well, you learned and now you're a little more aware when you travel,
I will
right?
never shoot in a cemetery again. I was like, oh, that just felt wrong.
Oh my gosh. Where are some other places that you've shot that are not in Arizona? I mean, sounds like you've been all over the U.S.
Yeah, I've definitely hit all four corners of the U.S. I've shot in London, Scotland. I've actually shot in Finland.
Wow.
Just kind of random.
Yeah.
I have a friend out there who's also a dance photographer. So I went to go visit her a couple years ago, and her sister is a ballerina, so we shot her in like really obscure places of Finland. Like that's kind of like, I didn't just go to Helsinki. We went like little offshoots, like little islands. So that was kind of fun. How do you
decide where you're going to go?
In terms of like my travel dates?
Yeah, like your travel dates.
So random.
Yeah.
I'll literally just be like, I haven't been to Seattle in a while. I guess I'll go there. I mean, when I was in college, it was a little more restricted because I would have class Tuesday and Thursday. So I'd have to like leave Thursday night and then come back Monday to be ready for class again. So I'd pick kind of like places that I knew I would get a lot done in 4 days kind of thing. But now that I have a little more freedom, like back in March, I was in London for an event. And then after that, I was like, I'll just stay another 5 days and then go to like Belgium and Amsterdam while I'm over here. So a lot of it's spur of the moment now, but back when I was in college, I would kind of put it out on Instagram, see what the interest was, build a schedule based off that.
Yeah. Yeah. I do something similar right now. When I know I'm going to go somewhere,
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, I'm going to be there. Who wants privates? And it works out.
It's the best. It's literally free advertising. You don't have to pay anyone to do it. You just do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, and it's great because it's such a resource for the parents and dancers.
Yeah.
And then if I flip myself to the consumer side, I do the same thing for a bunch of people. Like, oh my gosh, they're here. Or I'm going to look at this when I'm there and da-da-da-da. So I think Instagram is so great and has just connected the world. And it really does make it so easy to find whoever you need in the dance world.
Well, and think about how many doors it's opened. Like, there's so many opportunities out there to be had from Instagram. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole... I have a Disney song in my world. It's a whole new world.
It really is.
But it is. It is.
Like, a whole new world that's been built in, 7-8 years?
Yeah.
Like, it's totally new. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Do you ever see your dance photos in other places besides just like your dancers tagging you on Instagram and you're like, hey, that's mine? Or do your dancers ever come back and say that your photo helped me get this opportunity, or I used it here? Or are they mostly for personal use?
Yeah, I definitely get the, that's the best thing is when I get your photo helped me get this, because, that just makes me so happy that I captured your amazing talent well enough that you were then able to show that to someone and get something out of it, because that is really what I feel like this should all be about, is to help, self-promotion, but also, I don't even know how to say it, proving to yourself how amazing you are, because a lot of kids come into shoots and they're like, oh, I'm not that great, and then they get in front of the camera and they're doing all these amazing things, and I'm like, you are so talented. Look at these photos, put these out there, show others how talented you are, and you never know what could come out of it.
Yeah, totally. I experience the same thing when kids come in. I always ask them what they feel like they're good at and what their challenges are in class, and they can't come up with the things that they're good at almost across the board.
I know. They're always like, well, my feet aren't that good.
I'm like, no, I asked you what you were good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is I think that when we're working with kids and anyone, I have adults who aren't confident or have that ability to say the things that they're good at. And part of that's our culture. We're not used to bragging, myself included. I find myself doing that too.
It's like self-deprecation.
Yeah.
It just feels natural.
Yeah, it does. We don't want to toot our own horn. But I do think that a great photo shoot experience can do a lot to build some confidence. And definitely, I love that you have the eye to catch that. I look at your photos and I can see a variety in level and style and age of your dancers, and every single photo looks amazing. They look amazing, and that's the important thing.
That's always my goal. One of my biggest fears is that a kid will not be satisfied with them, just because I know how hard they are on themselves. So even if we get the best possible shot, they still might not like it, and I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart, because I'm like, no, it's so great. You are so great. Appreciate this. Don't just use the photos to self-deprecate even more, to pick out your flaws, or if you do want to take it that way, use it to grow. Be like, I love this, but I want my knees to look straighter. Work on your knees. Take something out of it that can be beneficial and not just tearing yourself down.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. So what have been, if you had to tell me one or two things that makes a model really easy to work with, what would they be? What could a dancer do to get the best photo experience with you? Come in and
be prepared, I guess. Again, you have to know what you're good at. If I've had a couple experiences where kids just stand in front of the camera and I'm like, so what can you do? And it's silence. And I can't, it's so hard to come up with something out of that. I can give you some basic poses, but you're not going to get the most out of it unless you can curate some things in your mind. If you can take something that I give you and make it even crazier, please do that. I always say, give me a leg or something like that. Do that, but then make it your own. Make it a leg hold. Put your leg around this way, or, take something that I give you and make it even more, and that's going to be the best experience, because then I get all hyped up and I start freaking out and getting excited. Mm-hmm. And then my brain will start flowing.
Yeah, the collaboration starts going back and forth.
Exactly. The best possible photo shoot experience is when it's collaborative. Like, if you're throwing things at me and I can throw things back at you, and we're both, like, just spewing ideas, that is the best possible outcome for photos.
Yeah, that sounds right, just from my own experience. So if you could give us, because I love to end with a little, you could do this thing. What would be a couple things, if we just sum up everything, that you would say will make a successful shoot? I think I could say being prepared.
Yeah.
Bringing, you said, a variety of color of leotards, tights, shoes. Basically bringing your dance closet is what I'm hearing.
Basically, yeah. I would say, yeah, bring all that. Don't forget water.
Bring water.
Oh my God, I've had a couple experiences where kids forget water, and it just makes it tough. Get there early. Get completely stretched before I show up, so we don't waste any time. You want to get the most out of your time, because everyone works
Absolutely.
Everyone works at a different pace, and I don't want to have to rush you. I don't want you to feel rushed. You know, I don't want you to feel like you booked an hour shoot, but you really only shot for 30 minutes because, you know, time was spent elsewhere. So just, like, you know what you're getting into. If you have something else going on that day, maybe book the shoot a little later so you have even more extra time to park and to get to the location and to
feel
be ready
calm.
Yeah, like, the worst thing is when you're running into a shoot 15 minutes late and you just have to start going for it. Like,
yeah.
That's not as fun as, like, getting to chat with me 10 minutes beforehand, getting comfortable with each other, and then starting to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Come ready to collaborate.
Yeah, just come with an open mind. Try not to say no too much. Unless you're, like, just uncomfortable with the shoot or with the pose, then you can definitely say no. But
Right. If you really feel like that, okay, this is not the pose for me.
Yeah.
But if it's just I'm not sure if I can do that, try it.
Say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you'll catch him falling and it'll be the best photo ever.
I have a ton of those.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure those in-betweens that no one would be able to catch except for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you can think of?
It really depends. Every mom has such a different relationship with their child. But I think pull back just a little bit, because a lot of times kids get into their elements if the parents aren't directing them. I know it's tough, especially if you as a mom are a dance teacher and your child's a dancer, but I can pretty much assure you that I'll catch every incorrect thing about the pose that you would catch. And I might not.
We are all human.
We're all human.
And you're looking through a lens.
I might not catch her third rib down on the right that's poking out, but, you know, for the most part, I'm going to catch a lot of the things. So, you know, hang out and enjoy the view. Try not to dive too deep into the shoot itself, because it might stress your child out. And if they're stressed out,
you're not getting the best photos.
You're not getting the best photos, so you're just wasting your money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that happens in here too.
Yeah.
Some kids and parents, they work really well with each other watching and in the same room. But I have a couple students that the moms know, they just leave because their child works better when they're just with the, I'm going to say, quote, professional.
Yeah.
When their parents are not there telling them exactly what I'm telling them.
Yeah.
But their parents are saying it, so they don't care.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Like,
let the professional do their thing, and most kids will listen more intently.
Kind of like, pay attention to see what your kid's comfortable with. There are some children who like their mom to be standing right next to me. I'm totally fine with that. Like, if that's what your kid wants, that's what your kid gets.
Yeah.
But there are some children who literally like, Mom, leave before I freak out.
Yeah.
So if it comes to that point, it is so much better to remove yourself so you are getting the most for your money and your child's getting the most out of their photo shoot and having a great experience.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. Well, we're coming up on our time, but this has been so informative.
So fun.
I've loved every second of this. Tell us how we can get in touch with you. Where can they find your stuff? What could they book something with you? All that jazz.
Yeah, so where I do most of my sharing of my photos is on Instagram. So that is just Eva Nys Photography. One word. You can also just type in my first and last name and it'll pop up. And it's EVA and then NYS. And then my website is evanysphotography.com. I never really use Facebook, so don't message me on there.
Fair, me either.
And then an email to reach out for booking is just evanysphotography@gmail.com.
Super easy. I like it. We will link everything below on the podcast, so you guys can find that information there. But Eva, I just want to say thank you so much for coming. This was
my gosh.
so great. I hope you guys will go check out her Instagram, follow along, even if you aren't going to work with her. She has amazing photos, super inspirational. It's art on all levels. So go check her out. And if you have any questions for her, please reach out. Tell her that you heard her on Beyond the Point.
Yes.
And that you have whatever question. I know she'll reach out and answer you back. And thank you so much. We're going to finish right there.
Pleasure. So fun.
Yay. Good. I had so much fun talking with Eva, and she reminded me how joyful it is to capture these small moments, both as a dancer and a photographer. Thinking about that, I want to hear your stories of taking photos with either your friends or the photographers. I want to hear the good, bad, and the funny. I had one New Year's Eve in Utah. It was snowing, and I was in a white swan tutu. I remember how freezing we all were. Our toes hurt to go on point. It was slippery. We were wearing like big gloves and big gigantic slipper things that go over our feet and tutus. I also remember that we had so much fun and that somebody felt so bad for us that they offered us pizza. Like we must have been by a pizza store. And so they saw all these girls in white tutus and thought, oh, they look so cold. We should offer them pizza. Okay. Anyways, it was great. So I want to hear yours. So leave your story and your post on my Instagram page at Align Fitness by Allie. And if you shared this memory with a friend, tag them. I want to hear their side of the story. To conclude today's episode, I want to point out not a thing that I love, but people that I love. Let's call out all the photographers in our life. Professionals, parents, friends, strangers, all the people that capture our world and make it so available to be seen. The way that we can see anything these days, we can do research, we can see what something's going to look like before we get there, we capture a moment and can share it instantly. It's unbelievable to me when I think about it. But I don't think that photographers get the credit they deserve, especially the ones like Eva that make your ordinary photos extraordinary with their knowledge and their expertise. So let's all make sure that we give a little extra thanks and a little extra credit to the people that make your photos look amazing and give you something to have forever. For now, that's it. I will see you next Wednesday on Beyond the Point.